So I'm just going to be doing a review and comparison of these two Rubi tile cutters. These are manual tile cutters. To my left is the Rubi Speed Plus, and to my right is the Rubi TX 1020 Max. So I've had the larger one, the 1020 Max, for about a year now, and the Speed Plus for about 6 months. I've used both of these quite a bit. As you can see, the wear and tear on both of these. So it's an honest review. As a general contractor, I've owned many manual cutters in the past. QEP, Montolet, Sigma, some different ones. And I have to say that the Rubi right now is my favorite cutter. It's an amazing cutter, the TX 1020 Max. And also the Speed Plus. It has its place in my tool chest for various smaller jobs. So what are some features and differences of these two cutters? Well, obviously size is one. The one on the left, the Speed Plus, that has a rip capacity of 28 inches. And the TX 1020 Max has a rip capacity of 40 inches. Now this TX series comes in a variety of sizes. The largest, I believe, is the TX 1250, which has a rip capacity of 49 inches, maybe 49.25 inches. That's a large tile that you'd be cutting. This one as well, I believe, comes in different sizes. But for me, these are the two that I've used the most. Cost-wise, there's a big difference. Around 250 Canadian dollars at Home Depot is what I paid for this one, the smaller Speed Plus. The TX Max was, I think right now is about 1,500. I paid a little bit less pre-pandemic because, of course, now with inflation everything's gone up. But I believe they're about 1,500 right now. But if you are a professional installer or you're getting into tile installation, yes, the price tag is high on this one, but I would strongly suggest saving up for it because it is a great cutter and you will not be disappointed. Both of these come with different size cutting wheels. So I'm just going to show you with the Speed Plus, the cutting wheel. It's a great design with Rubi. This is the wheel here. To remove it, you turn the handle counterclockwise, and it's adjustable and removable that way. Both models, the TX Max and this one, are the same in that regards. The options for sizes are a little bit different. So I think for the Speed Plus, the smaller one here is 6, 8, and 10 millimeter wheels. For the TX Max, you have the option of 8, 10, 18, and 22. So I believe this is a 22 millimeter wheel. The cutting thickness, the TX Max, very versatile. Being a professional cutter, this machine here can cut between 1/8 of an inch to 13/16 thickness in tile. That's a thick tile. Now, I've been cutting and installing tile for a long time, for about 23 years now. On average, the tile sizes are between 5/16 and maybe half an inch if you're installing frost-proof tile on an exterior. So I personally, I've never cut a tile 13/16 of an inch thick, but this machine will do it. The Speed Plus does 1/4 inch to 5/8, so versatile as well. It's a great machine, even though it's a little bit smaller. Now you notice the rail thickness is very different between the Speed Plus and the TX Max. The TX Max is a lot thicker, and of course that has to do with what they call separator power. So it's basically the force that you can exert on the handle and on these arms in order to separate the tile after you score it. Now the Speed Plus has a force, which is pretty amazing for a small cutter, of 1,323 pounds. Now, to my understanding, that means that you can exert that much force on this handle, and these rails will handle that in order to separate the tile after you score it. 1,323 pounds of force on the small one. On the large TX Max, 2,645 pounds of force. That's pretty amazing that you can exert on this handle and on those separator arms. Now, the scoring and separator mechanism is quite different on both of these. So on the TX Max, if you notice, it has a little lever here, and it has a gear system. So the gear system is variable depending on the thickness of the tile. Now, when you score the tile, you need to release the arms, score, and then lift in order to separate. With the Speed Plus, it's a little simpler. It still does the job quite well. So you lift that mechanism, you score the tile, then you lower the mechanism and exert force on the arms, and that separates the tile. Both very efficient. Personally, I prefer the TX Max because you have the versatility of different thicknesses in tile. And it just, the power that you can exert on those arms, it's amazing. It's an excellent cutter. So why don't we do a little demonstration of a 12 by 24 porcelain tile and what these two cutters can do. So I'm just going to pause the video and then set up the camera at a different angle. Okay, so we're going to do a demonstration first on the smaller tile cutter. So this is a porcelain tile, 12 by 24. So I'm going to lift the mechanism. You put the cutter just at the edge of the tile, and you just push. Lower the mechanism, and there you go. That's a pretty clean cut for a tile cutter that's about $250. Now I'm going to pause the video again, and I'm going to set up the camera on the TX Max this time. Okay, so now the TX Max. So again, you put the wheel on the edge. And I went up about 3 clicks for this thickness of tile. And there you go. I only had to exert a very little amount of force on the TX Max in comparison to the Speed Plus. Now, what's amazing about this TX Max is that you can actually cut a tile very thin, and I could not do it on any other cutter that I had. So I did it before, and I'll do it again this time on the video. But we'll try cutting a 1-inch piece first. Usually when you're cutting a thin sliver like this, you have to do it on a wet saw. But I'll show you how this TX Max can do this. There you go. That's a 1-inch piece. I would have to give a 9 out of 10 for the TX 1020 Max. I would give it more. The reason why I don't is, believe it or not, because of the case. I wish the engineers at Rubi would have spent a little bit more time on the case. It's a little flimsy and it kept falling apart, so I had to fix the hinges myself. What I did was I melted some red PEX plumbing tubing on the hinges in order to make sure that they didn't fall apart as they were before. But 9 out of 10 for the TX 1020 Max I think is very fair. This is an excellent cutter. As for the Rubi Speed Plus, I would give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason why I would give it an 8 and not higher is because of the arms. They're a little flimsy. And this piece here that's removable, I'm not too much of a fan of that. This is in case you wanted to cut diagonal tile, but other than that, this is an excellent cutter as well for the price. Maybe for beginners, or if you're just doing a DIY job at home, definitely get this at Home Depot. If you're a professional, that is the way to go. Rubi 1020 TX Max. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll have a few more videos coming shortly.